Yo, welcome to Tude Sack. You ready for our first sick episode of Tude? We are finally on fleek and in style. We know you're thirsty for the Tude Sack, so we're gonna give you a drink, yo. Word! In your face!
Ah yes, Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, Sonic didn't actually start the Tude era, but his success definitely kicked it into high gear in the middle of 1991. His first appearance on the Genesis made Sega a household name in North America. I mean, look at Sonic. He has a no-nonsense attitude. He wants to get the job done, and he's got to get it done fast. He looks at you and taps his foot as if to say, hey, we gonna do this or not? Not only did the in-game character have a bit of Tude, but his advertising was positively laced with it.
And about his attitude. Smarty pants! Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh! Little brat!
Sonic appealed to the gamers who were no longer children, but cool teens with lots and lots of Tude themselves. Stuffy old Mario just couldn't compete with that image, and Sega eventually catapulted ahead of Nintendo in hardware sales for a time. After Sonic, idle animations became increasingly popular, if not necessary, in newer action platform games. Of course, Sonic is still going these days, and his trademark Tude remains a staple of his character. Sonic and the 90s go together like America Online and Dancing Babies.
I'm out of here!
One of the first characters to pop up as a direct result of Sonic was Bubsy from Accolade. His first game was released for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo in early 1993 and a couple of years later for the PC. Right away, Bubsy was sporting some serious Tude with lots of hilarious one-liners.
What could possibly go wrong?
In fact, it felt like they concentrated more on Bubsy's Tude than the actual design of the game, as it seems to fight my controller commands. He runs through a bunch of levels, and overall the game just feels very mediocre as a whole, even for its time. And honestly, Bubsy's gotta be the first video game character that I've actually wanted to punch. His Tude is the standout attraction here, and unfortunately for everyone, they didn't do it very well.
I like it.
They even tried to make him into a cartoon series when the games first came out, but it was never picked up.
It's me, the Prince of Personality, Bubsy!
It's bad. Not so bad that it's good, but so bad that it's difficult to watch the entire thing.
Oh, I gotta lay off those breakfast burritos!
Bubsy ended up having only 4 games in total. I mean, it's kind of hard to generate excitement for a future game in the franchise when you go and release something like Bubsy 3D on the PlayStation. But for some reason, they're gonna try with Bubsy the Woolies Strike Back. Good luck.
I've been waiting to settle this score since 1993.
And you know, I don't think that the world misses Bubsy.
This guy gives stupid a bad name!
Socket on the Genesis from Vic Tokai also came out in 1993. In this one, you play as an electric duck. The game is kind of a Sonic ripoff, and Socket has some Tude, but it's not really the basis of the character's personality. The box definitely tells a different story though. I mean, just look at the way he's designed with that mischievous look. Flip the box over and you see that he's a duck with an attitude. Not only that, it tells you to plug Socket in for a little AC buzz. Okay. Socket needs to charge himself up at charging stations every so often, and he runs really fast, just like Sonic through very similar levels. But the game plays more like a cross between Sonic and the original Wonder Boy Adventure Island games, and instead of fruit, he needs to collect lightning bolts to stay alive. This game is fast, but it does have some frame dropping and slowdown issues here and there. But hey, at least the music is top notch. These days, the world has pretty much forgotten about old Socket. Maybe people would remember him if he shoved his attitude in our face a little more.
The Battletoads are a trio of toads with mega amounts of Tude. Starting with their names, you've got Rash, Zitz, and Pimple. Yep, all your teenage problems became the names of these guys. The story starts out with Pimple and Princess Angelica cruising in their space car. Do you see what I'm seeing? A freaking toad has a human girl for a girlfriend! How cool do you have to be to get a human girl to go out with you? I don't know, maybe it's the loincloth that they wear to cover up their junk. Do toads have junk that needs covering? Or maybe it's the spikes that they wear around their knees. But there's nothing like a solid beat-em-up game to show off how badass you are. You'll fight many enemies punching and kicking your way to save Pimple and the princess. As you're kicking ass, you'll notice that even your hands and feet have Tude. They get super huge when they deliver the final blow that knocks your enemy off the screen. These guys are dripping with macho fever and it almost makes me want to be one. Then I remember that they're just toads and I change my mind. Coolspot was originally the mascot for the soft drink 7-Up. He was in advertisements and of course he starred in a couple of video games. His name doesn't lie. I mean, just look at this dude on the cover of the Genesis game. He's so cool looking with his sunglasses, white kicks, riding a flaming surfboard. Seriously, who rides a surfboard with shoes on? Coolspot, that's who. And look at that fish down there, he's totally awestruck. He wants to be cool so badly, but he can't because he's just a fish. When you turn the game on and see Coolspot come to life, he becomes even more chill. He's just keeping it cool and keeping it real. He can't help it if he looks good. Sometimes he's snapping his fingers and tapping his shoes to the beat of the music. He's also got this cool stride to his walk that's just, well, it's cool. You're the man, Coolspot. I wish I could be like you. Can't get much more Tude than Radical Rex on the Super Nintendo. Well, maybe you can. This is one of those games where there's more Tude in the marketing than the actual game. The box, and especially the theme song, make you believe that Rex is indeed quite radical.
He's so rad, he's my real cool Radical Rex.
Radical Rex.
But the edgiest thing that this guy does is ride a skateboard through certain parts of the levels. Luckily, the landscape was naturally formed with shreddable ground or this guy wouldn't be able to skate. And just to make a point of how toodalicious this guy is, he even rides his skateboard without a helmet! Safety is for nerds. Unfortunately though, Rex isn't rad enough to make this game very memorable. In fact, as a whole, it's quite mediocre. Can you handle a whole game with this bad boy? I couldn't. Totally Rad on the NES is another misleading title. There's a little bit of Tude here, but only in the story scenes. But when you play the game itself, all you'll find is a decent action platformer with no Tude in sight. I mean, why even bother with this game?
Chester Cheetah had a couple of video games on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, but of course first he was the mascot for the Cheetos brand of crunchy, cheesy things.
That's real boss.
He has 2 games, Too Cool to Fool and Wild Wild Quest. Neither game is exactly soaking in greatness. Chester exhibits some Tude in his games, but most of that Tude was reserved for the actual Cheetos ads on TV.
I'm a righteous kitty in the hotter, hip city.
And you can still find Chester on bags of Cheetos today. Doesn't he make you hungry for some crunchy, dried up, cheesy things? Sega was obsessed with Tude since they had so much success with Sonic, and they sure went overboard with Wild Woody on the Sega CD. Yeah, Wild Woody. Woody is a pencil that's been brought to life and given some righteous Tude for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Call me Woody. Wild Woody.
Woody controls very clumsily and defeats enemies by erasing them with his ass. I mean, is that his ass? He's got that look on his face that tells you that he is a proper badass and you do not want to mess with him.
I was born to save the world.
He even spins like crazy during these awesome bonus stages because he's so extreme! Woody might just be too wild for most people, so I recommend passing this game up.
I'll see you next time the world needs saving. Yeah, only if we sell a zillion units.
I've got my copy of Wild Woody. Do you have a Wild Woody?
And the name's not Pencil Neck, it's Woody! Wild Woody!
Zombies Ain't My Neighbors had this kid in there with some serious Tude. No, it's not Julie the girl, it's Zeke. Just look at this kid. Zeke doesn't talk or anything, and that's okay because he wears his Tude. He has some sweet red shoes, blue jeans, and a shirt with a skull on it. This isn't a game that exhibits a lot of Tude, but Zeke is definitely one of the cooler characters with the silent Tude that you'll see in this episode. But let's move on to some meatier Tude, like good old Earthworm Jim. His designers at Shiny capitalized on the Tude era and set out to make a game as zany as could be. Seriously, what would you do if a spacesuit fell on you? Well, we all know what Jim did. He got a toot of badassery and went off to save Princess What's-Her-Name from Queen Slug for a butt. Everything about Jim is pure style. From the way he runs and uses his whole body to swing from things to wielding his plasma gun, he's a true badass. I've always loved the toot that he displays, and I also like the fact that he doesn't talk a lot. Sure, he has some catchphrases, but they never get old or feel overused.
I'm new.
Jim's not all business, you know, and he likes to kid around, and I like that. He's got many different idle animations. Most of these are just funny and let you know that Jim has a good sense of humor. I mean, you have to be a funny guy to play jump rope with your own body. Jim is an alright guy, and he's a good example of toot done right.
No! Ouch! Ouch! Ow!
This is Kid Chameleon, the arcade master for the Genesis. Who do you call if an arcade game is killing other kids? The awesome dude with the black leather jacket and sunglasses, that's who. Oh, and don't forget the rolled up pant legs on his jeans. I used to do that when I was a teen, and you know, I felt really cool. Much cooler than the kids that didn't roll their pants up, like Joe. Kid Chameleon is another character with a silent toot. He doesn't want to make a scene by spurting out snarky remarks. That's just not his style. By the looks of him, he could conquer this game without any help. But that's also not his style. He utilizes all the different helmets in this game to make his job easier, and he looks badass in each and every one of them. And he doesn't need any stupid idle animations when you're not controlling him. He just stares at you, making you feel nervous like you'd better get moving or else. So don't mess with him.
Toot is over the top! It is through the roof! It's time to crank it up! Play it loud! Want some of this?
Awesome Possum kicks Dr. Machino's butt on the Genesis from Tengen is another huge toot offender. You play as the self-proclaimed Awesome Possum running around picking up litter and killing people who you perceive as trashing the environment. Awesome Possum is so awesome that he even tells you himself.
I'm awesome!
In fact, he talks a lot while you play the game.
Wow, that was incredible! I'm out of control! Check this out! Oh boy! I'm so cool!
Okay, I'm really wanting to punch him right now. Or at least maybe start littering, just to piss him off.
Let's go! Come on! Let's go!
Sadly, the game itself lacks a lot of variety and it runs only at 15 frames per second. And even with that, it still has a lot of slowdown. I guess they forgot to turn on the blast processing in this one. But who cares, because Awesome Possum has attitude to spare and that can easily carry an entire game, right? Actually, I think Awesome Possum might be wildly insecure, because why else would he praise himself in everything he's doing every few seconds? Maybe because no one else will? His outlook on life must be bleak. He sees the world as full of garbage and he's doing everything he can, but there's still so much trash everywhere. This has got to do things to a possum. I bet he just needs a good friend or two to help boost his self-confidence. And maybe he should get a hobby that doesn't include picking up trash and calling himself awesome for it.
I'm so cool! That's the life! Haha, I won!
Green Dog on the Genesis has some toot that's pretty chill. He's one of those silent toot types, but it's definitely there. First, he has absolutely no use for a face, so why even bother having one? He'll attack pelicans to eat the burgers and fries that they had in their mouths to restore his health. He also rides a skateboard, so that's gotta count for something, right? He's so righteous that his dog even follows him underwater. Green Dog!
Earthlings aren't the only ones that can have serious toot. Check out Jam and Earl on the Genesis. You got Earl, who's a big doofus. He wears sunglasses, shoes, and swimming trunks, and he's content. Then you've got Jam. Yes, that's his name, Jam. He wears a backwards baseball hat and a personalized gold chain necklace with his initials on it. And he has 3 feet! I've always wondered how he buys his shoes. Does he have to buy 2 pairs and then just not wear one, or how does that exactly work? Anyway, these funky mofos are wandering around Earth trying to find pieces of their spaceship. But they're not in too much of a hurry as they stop to do a little hula dancing with these Hawaiian honeys. I like how laid back they are. Nothing can bother them and they don't say much. Well, that is until the 3rd adventure, which is on the Xbox.
Got me some bling bling.
Anyway, play their games if you want to be in a chill mood. This is JJ and Jeff for the TurboGrafx 16. It's about a couple of detectives out to solve a kidnapping case. Being detectives, they always have to wear full-on suits and ties no matter where they go. Be it the forest or the sewers, they always have to look good. It's that kind of Tude that they want you to think that they're professional with their slick, shiny hair and super white teeth. They can also kick water fountains and money pops out. The game is entertaining and spraying little bugs with your can is funny. Hey, why is your partner staring at the background there? In Japan, this game is called Kato-chan and Ken-chan and it's based on the comedy duo of the same name. And in this version, there's way more Tude. Oh, now I know why your partner is staring at the background. He's taken a leak! That takes some serious Tude to do that outside in broad daylight. And what's this, no spray can to kill bugs? Your character actually farts, which kills the bug with its cloud of smell. The game is loaded with comedy that's well worth the playthrough. It's a shame North America had the humor gimped out of the game, but it's still worth playing. Airzonk is a cute-em-up for the TurboGrafx 16. Cute-em-up? Actually more like toot-em-up. You can tell how cool he is based on the sunglasses alone. Not only Zonk, but his team of warriors are all wearing sunglasses. Sure, they're fighting in the sun, so they need to protect their eyes, right? Nah, they're wearing those sunglasses because it's the cool thing to do. If I'm lying, then tell me why they wear their sunglasses at the bottom of the ocean. Not only that, but Zonk has a freaking lightning bolt on his forehead, and this was before Harry Potter made it cool. Airzonk is actually the cool future version of Bonk. Bonk does have a little Tude, but he's no Airzonk. So screw him. However, Zonk keeps his Tude classy and he doesn't threaten anyone except for his enemies. Look at him here after he defeats a boss. It's like he's saying, "Peace, yo, I got this," as he moves on to the next stage, not breaking a sweat. Zonk is one cool character that gets my respect. His Tude is what makes him the awesome robot thing that he is.
Dinosaurs for Hire is a run and gun on the Genesis based on the Tom Mason comic books. You may have thought that dinosaurs were already cool, but oh no. These dinosaurs are wicked sweet. Look at that, they wear sunglasses and this one even sports a leather jacket. That's how you know they're cool. The game was released at the height of Sega's Tude era and there's even a quip about blast processing in here. Anyway, these dinosaurs are so cool that they walk around blasting unarmed people with huge guns. And yet these lowly unarmed people can still cause lots of damage, not only to a dinosaur, but a totally rad dinosaur. What's weird is that you shoot down skateboarders too. That doesn't make sense. I mean, this dino is so gnarly that he should be the one riding a skateboard. As a game, it's interesting and maybe we'll take a closer look at it in the future. Rocky Rodent on the Super Nintendo from IRAM is a game where you're powered by your Tude. You play as some mongrel who loves to dine and dash on his meals and now you're off to take down the mob. Rocky's already got some pretty spunky Tude going on, but he's quickly informed, by a dude on a skateboard no less, that he needs to toot up his hair with hairspray to help him out. And it does. Rocky can now use his sweet hair against the uncool enemies. He can even use it to help him get up to higher platforms. It also acts as a defense mechanism. If you get hit, your wicked hairdo goes away, which means you'll die with the next hit. That keeps the pressure on you pretty high to remain as cool as possible at all times. Just like real life. I'm surprised that this game didn't sell millions. Mohawk and Headphone Jack is on the Super Nintendo, and dear God, man, put on some clothes! I mean, seriously, what the hell? What's going on down here? It doesn't look like much. I mean, I don't think I'd run around naked if I had no hardware, so to speak. Anyway, Mohawk is out to collect bunches and bunches of CDs. According to the box, he's forced to protect his party lifestyle. He's also carrying a Walkman at all times so he can jam to some dope tunes. Look at this guy rock out. Totally naked. Obviously, he needs to bring his own music because the music in this game sure as hell isn't gonna cut it. His legs can even turn into a wheel, which makes the gameplay even more off the hook. Or off the rails, or off the chains, whatever. This game uses a lot of totally fresh Mode 7. It spins to and fro, and every move that you make moves the screen in some way. If you like to hurl as you play video games, I heartily recommend Mohawk and Headphone Jack. I also recommend it if you like weird naked guys with mohawks.
Let's check out Blasto on the PlayStation, and yeah, you guessed it, he's overflowing with Tude. Just look at the back of the jewel case. Blasto is here to save your anus? Voiced by Phil Hartman before his own demise, Blasto is indeed a space adventure to save your anus. Just look at him. He's huge-chested and has some crazy blonde hair. He's a little snarky and is filled with one-liners that are funny at first but will start to get old not long into your adventure.
I love the smell of burning ectoplasm in the morning.
As he makes his way through the very sparse landscapes, he's in search of babes to rescue. He's got kind of a chauvinistic attitude where women are playthings to him.
Now I've seen two masterpieces of suspension, the Golden Gate Bridge and that bra.
The women in the game don't seem to mind though, as long as they get freed from their prison. How did these women get there in the first place? And what would green aliens want with them? Some sort of interspecies mating thing? Ew. Well, if you're up for a less than stellar game with lots of one-liners, then Blasto is a game for you.
Gunshot! Bad way to die. Oh, I'll see you.
Crash Bandicoot was the unofficial mascot for the PlayStation. And of course, to be a mascot, you've got to have Tude. Thank God Crash isn't loaded with one-liners because that's what developers loved to do at the time. Instead, Crash just looks like he's got Tude. He wears jeans and tennis shoes but no shirt. I'm surprised they didn't give him nipples with a nipple ring. Jeans and shoes were plenty, and oh, don't forget his cocky eyebrows. Crash just does what he has to do, which is spin attack, and that makes his enemies fly off the screen in fear and pain. Killing enemies like that would definitely give a boost to the old ego. He also dies with style, whether it's being hit by an enemy or burning to death. He doesn't make a big scene about it, he just goes to Bandicoot heaven. I always like some of the Crash games, and yes, Crash himself.
This episode's to the brim with Tude. It's overflowing. Whoa! Jack is too small for my frame, yo. We sound like turkeys, man. Welcome to the next level.
Bug is the titular star of the game Bug on the Saturn.
Did you just say tits?
He's a movie star with some serious Tude, and he wants to be in only the biggest movies. I bet you didn't realize that a Bug could have Tude, but he sure does. All throughout his 2 games, you'll be stomping on enemies, all while Bug is spurting out obnoxious lines that'll really make you just want to punch him in the face. I can't decide what's worse, the stupid lines that he spouts out or the sound of his pimply-faced voice.
He shoots, he scores!
Either way, I just really want to squash him as his Tude is beyond annoying. He's not funny, and actually I've decided that I just don't like him. I think the game would be much better with a different protagonist, honestly.
Ooh, hurt me.
When the 32-bit generation came along, Gexx was one of the first games with Tude on the 3DO. Just look at him, he's sporting sunglasses even though there's no way they'll offer his eyeballs any protection whatsoever because they're located on the side of his head. But come on, we wear sunglasses to look cool, not to protect our eyes, so that doesn't matter. Anyway, this is the Saturn version simply because it scrolls a hell of a lot smoother than the choppy 3DO version. Plus my Saturn has RGB and my 3DO doesn't, so it's gonna look a lot better if I just use this one. Anyway, comedian Dana Gould provides Gexx with lots of sassy one-liners.
Body blow! Body blow!
I've got to admit, a lot of them are funny, but a great portion of them are very non sequitur and feel totally random.
I don't eat anything but this. For me? You shouldn't have. This one's for Johnny.
Gexx even continued his adventures in blurry 3D, shown here on the Nintendo 64. Dana Gould returned to give the gecko his trademark Tude.
Welcome to Under This Old House.
Personally, I could never get into these games, not even the original, but hey, your mileage may vary.
Oh no, I'm too young to have a second childhood.
That is one powerful piece of machinery.
We can't leave out Conker the Squirrel. He's got some serious rude and crude Tude, but you may not see it by looking at him. Sure, he wears sneakers and a jacket, but who cares about that? Conker's Tude comes in the way that he acts and interacts with other characters in the game.
Oh, just great. I thought the designer said this was just a straight port. What a hack.
In the beginning, he's dead drunk at a pub and is ultimately trying to get to his girlfriend's house. This is where the fun begins, as he has many adventures on his way there. Conker was originally supposed to star in a family game that was cute and anyone of any age could play, but Rare decided to completely change things up and make it much more mature-oriented. I'm very happy that they decided to do this, as it's much more enjoyable with some adult humor. I love Conker's snarky Tude when he's interacting with other characters.
He's gone off, you know, with another woman.
Oh, really? That doesn't surprise me.
What?
If I met someone just like him in real life, I'd probably hate him. But as a fictional character, he's great. I'd love to see a proper sequel, but I'm guessing that'll never happen.
Conker, honey, fancy going for a bounce?
A bounce? Okay. Now this is what I call a platform game.
When I think about characters with Tude, Duke Nukem is right up there at the top.
Blowing out your ass.
Duke, as you know, is a carefree badass and he doesn't give a crap about what you think.
Somebody's gonna friggin' pay for screwing up my vacation.
In fact, I would wager that if you said you didn't like him to his face, he'd have no problem shooting you dead.
You suck.
Anything that moves is fair game, and luckily the levels are mostly loaded with bad alien dudes.
Your face, your ass, what's the difference?
Duke has many one-liners that are mostly just dirty in nature. Others are just him proclaiming his Tude.
Who wants some?
Attention is given more to the gratuitous amounts of sexual themes than to the actual game design. Like here where he's looking in the mirror. He's holding a pistol, but in the mirror he clearly has a rifle.
Damn, I'm looking good.
Duke is an interesting character from the mid-90s that a lot of people find offensive. I'm not fazed by it, but it does kind of feel forced to me sometimes.
Much better.
Jack and Dexter are a duo of protagonists with some Tude on the PS2. At first glance of the cover art for the first game, they try to look intimidating. Jack with his crazy glasses and spiky hair, and Dexter with his arms out to the side like, "You want some of this?" But once you start playing the game, it feels different. Jack seems to be much more normal, and his Tude level is pretty low. Dexter, on the other hand, is the one that brings the Tude.
You don't know what you're missing.
All throughout the adventure, he's mouthing off snarky remarks and he's loaded with bad jokes, but I love it.
Those old metal boxes are thicker than a yak-owl skull.
He's definitely a special part of the game series. Hell, I'm surprised Naughty Dog hasn't made a spin-off with just Dexter alone. I would have bought it.
We'd love to stay and chat, Big Green, but we're, itching to get on with our adventures.
Besides the fun gameplay, the interaction between these two really makes this game feel complete.
This place gives me the creeps! And trust me, it's a whole new experience when you're covered in fuzz!
Eventually, just having a Tude wasn't edgy enough anymore. Now that Tude needed to be rude and crude. So we got games like Boogerman here. Boogerman has a nearly unlimited supply of semi-dried snot to pick and flick at his enemies. In fact, that's his main form of attack. You also have a powerful burp attack you can use. But that's not all, pardon the pun. Watch this. Did you see that, Mom and Dad? I'm such a rebel.
Cool. Cool.
Here's Two Crude Dudes on the Genesis. Two Crude Dudes? More like Two Crude Tudes, am I right? No? Okay, moving on. Speaking of crude tudes, there's Primal Rage. I'm playing it here on my 32X because it seems to be the only one I'm able to do the moves on. First of all, the game is about primitive creatures fighting, and of course there's lots of blood which angsty teens demanded in all of their fighting games back in the day. But this one has vomit projectiles, and that makes it even more cool. Oh, and even a nasty fart move to stun your enemies. You think that'd be enough, but no. Now you can literally piss the skin off of your enemies. Sadly, it's things like this that the game is remembered for these days, not superb gameplay and fighting action. Man, if only these dinosaurs were wearing sunglasses and leather jackets, then they'd have it really dialed in. You gotta love Primal Rage. Actually, no you don't.
Alright, there's your episode with Tude, yo!
But we couldn't cover every single character with Tude.
No, that's why we need you! What characters do you like with Tude?
Let us know, and thank you for watching Tude Sack!
Tude Sack! What do you I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not really feeling it, Dave. It's just that, we don't really have much personality as it is, and it just feels kind of wrong to force it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. This is not us.
Exactly.
This is definitely not us.
Hello and welcome to GameSack.
I like that. I like that.